This is the Doomed Channel Krypton, all Superman all the time. This video is a first in a series of an experiment I'm conducting. My friend Anna does not like Superman. It's one of her least favorite characters, in fact. This has always bothered me, naturally. So, with the new feature on DC Universe, the streaming app, you can read digital comics from almost their entire library. They're updating it every week. And you can make customized reading order lists of the comic books. And so I decided to make a custom reading order list of Superman. This particular list will touch on the highlights of the Superman family. So all the major moments with Superman and Lois, with their new son John, and other supporting characters. This is all going to be post-crisis and in continuity, so even though things like All-Star Superman and Secret Identity are really, really good Superman stories, they are not going to be included here because they're not in continuity. So we'll see by the end of this rather long reading list if Anna has a change of heart about my favorite character. Before we move on, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure to click the bell icon to be notified every time a new video is uploaded. Without further ado, let's get started.
I just finished Man of Steel. The first comic was pretty normal. I mean, that's the origin story of Superman. I don't find particularly interesting just because I've seen it so many times in movies, TV shows, and read some comics. I just have always been more compelled by Batman than Superman, so when Batman came in this series, I was really excited. I really liked their first interaction. I like Superman as a side character to Batman, which I realize is sort of sacrilegious to you, but I enjoy their back and forth for the most part. I just don't particularly enjoy following just Superman, so I like the side characters. I like Lois is great. I'd never read or seen where Clark Kent enters his new job at the Daily Planet by stealing her idea, which is like extremely savage and kind of hilarious to me. And she's rightfully very upset about it, but I thought that was really funny, actually, that she tried to get an interview with Superman, and he was like, wait, this is a great idea. I'm gonna steal her idea and then get a job with it. I thought that was really funny. And I really liked the whole sort of part with Lex Luthor trying to win Lois Lane over and her just like completely shoving it back in his face. And I always like how fearless Lois is. She just goes into every situation irrationally fearless. Like, she's ill-prepared a lot of the time, but she will throw herself into danger for the sake of a story or proving a point, and I think that's a really interesting strength and flaw that she has, so I like that. But yeah, overall the series was fine. It was a little wordy. I felt like that sort of style of comic was not like probably my favorite, but it was interesting to see that perspective of his sort of origin and first year at the planet. Overall, again, though, I just don't find Superman that interesting to follow. I kind of prefer him being a side character. Here are a few thoughts on World of Metropolis 2 and 4 and Superman 1. For the World of Metropolis comics, I liked the concept. I didn't love the execution. I liked the idea of having it be about citizens of Metropolis and things going on with Lex Luthor or other random things in the city. I found those stories a little boring, but I liked the idea of them. Superman 1, enjoyed seeing some new powers that I haven't seen before represented, especially the one where he breaks a plot of land, like a circle around it, and just throws it into space to get rid of it. That was fun. I liked that in a couple of these, I think in one of the other ones I read too, he like lets himself get punched in the face or thrown off of something so that he can hide and change into Superman. I think that's kind of funny, the fact that he like gets punched and kind of throws himself farther than necessary so that he can roll out and like change into his costume. I just think that's funny. It was good to see him actually get beat up. I think this is like almost 10 comics in to this list, and this is the first time he's actually been up against someone he couldn't beat. I personally enjoy when superheroes face that more often, or any type of hero, because they have to be more strategic. It's less about brute force, and I prefer heroes that have to be strategic. To me, it feels like Superman always relies on his strength and his powers, and so it makes him not the best strategist, which is why Batman is able to kind of outsmart him in the one where they meet, because Superman doesn't normally have to deal with strategy. So I liked seeing him get beat up and have to actually grapple with the fact that sometimes he might have to be strategic. One thing I'm interested to know in the future is, so there was this conversation in the Superman one where Lois said something about 40 minutes is a big deal because to Superman he can save a bunch of people in 40 minutes all over the world. And that concept was interesting to me because one of the problems with Superman is he has the ability to save a lot more people than he does because he doesn't have human limitations like sleep. He has to recharge every once in a while, but he's living this very normal life on the side, and he could be spending that time saving more people. So I'm interested to see if that's something that's dealt with in future comics, this idea of how does he balance that lifestyle? How does he decide, and how does he not feel guilty, or how does he overcome the guilt of having a normal life when he could be saving the lives of people way more than he is, but then he would have no personal life? And so I think that's an interesting dilemma. It could be an interesting dilemma. If it's never addressed, I think it's annoying, but if it is addressed, I think it could be an interesting dilemma in the future.
Superman 12 and Nightwing 102. Superman 12 was fun. I liked the intro into Atlantis and Aquaman. It was kind of a roundabout way to learn about that stuff, which was fun, instead of focusing specifically on Aquaman and Superman. It was kind of random. Since I'm not reading that whole series, there's just one from that, or a couple from that one. It was kind of like, I felt like a Valentine's Day special, because it was like a romantic story about him falling in love with a mermaid, so that was fun. It was good to see a little growth in Superman, just him going back, talking about being in college and when he got jealous of Lori, and the fact that he went and spied on her and sort of acknowledged that that was the wrong thing to do. Just because I really don't see Superman having growth a lot in the movies that come out and a lot of the cartoons, so it was good to see him, that he's more mature now than he was in college. And then Nightwing 102, always glad to see Dick Grayson. All the previous comics have been the same sort of art style, so it was a little weird to suddenly be in the different art style, but obviously I'm always happy when Batman shows up, and I like seeing Dick Grayson, and it makes sense that the Bat Kids would seek out Superman as like a impartial mentor figure, so I like that. I like him in that role. But yep, those are my thoughts on those two comics.
Leave some feedback. Do you like Superman? Do you have any answers to any of Anna's questions she asked in the video? Post them in the comments below. If any of them are constructive, they might show up in the next video.